In today's video, I'm going to show you the cold email structure that we've used to book over 1,000 sales meetings between our agency clients and our own agency. Now, consistently, what is the best cold email structure or template is one of the #1 questions I get asked. I'm going to give you an in-depth answer to that today. Now, before we dive in, this script structure has worked selling agency services, software, manufacturing services, accounting, consulting, physical products, even to retail, financial products, medical products, and quite literally dozens of other services and products to dozens of industries. It is completely agnostic, and I have not found that there's a single category this does not work for. Now, it's never the only script we use in our campaigns, but we always use this script first because it's something that works. It's inoffensive, it makes sense, it's logical, it's easy to use, and whenever we're building a new campaign, this is always our first step to figure out how well that offer is going to perform before adding in other script variations. Now, there's 5 parts to this. I'm going to break down every single one of them to you and explain how you can do them, as well as provide some examples. So let's start with the first part of this script. We are going to start with what we call the relevant introduction. Now, for our relevant introduction, we have 3 options. We can start either with full personalization, meaning you're hand researching every prospect and you're doing 1 to 2 sentences of personalization that's completely genuine. The second option is you can use AI personalization, either with some manual examples of when you create a prompt around this or use a tool. We're essentially using AI to personalize. Or the third you can do is segmented personalization. Segmented personalization is what we do in 95% of our campaigns, and essentially it's where we build a very specific list of prospects. That way our introduction isn't necessarily personalized to them, but it's personalized to exactly who they are in terms of their situation, their company size, their title, their location, and their industry. I find this also comes off a little bit more sincere, as sometimes personalization, whether AI or manual, can come off a little bit too much like just a random compliment. So this is what I tend to do. Now, within segmentation, there are 2 core categories we're going to have. Logical, where we're looking at a logical reason that we're actually reaching out or we think we can help. And 2 is personal. We're trying to make a personal connection that gives us a little bit more of a hook or reason that a prospect would actually want to listen to us as opposed to just anybody else. Now, we're going to go ahead and break down examples for both. And for this example, I'm going to pretend that we're selling SEO services to e-com brands. So let's go with logical here first. Now, again, selling SEO services to e-com brands, logical. Well, maybe we're segmenting by companies that are running Facebook ads or TikTok ads, Twitter ads, Google ads, whatever. We could also segment by a company that has an active job post, especially if it's very recent, but they're hiring an SEO manager. Or that there's a glaring SEO problem on the site that we found in a preliminary audit. These are all things that segment who we're targeting, and obviously we can go more specific to like e-com to fashion e-com or fashion e-com startups, but just giving a general idea here. Now, let's look at some personal examples. We're targeting a decision maker in a target company who went to the same university as you. You have something in common that you can hint on in your message to make them a little bit more interested and then also give you an icebreaker for your call. We could target, let's say, skateboarding brands because you skateboard and that's an action point. I'm actually using one of my own interests here, but similar idea. You could target the company that is located in your city and offer a coffee call to action or small talk about your city. These things seem small, but they give you a little competitive advantage compared to people that can't mention these or don't take the time to. And again, we're going to try to leverage either this personal connection or this logical hook, essentially, in our script to make people more likely to continue to read our email beyond the first sentence. Now, the second thing we're going to do here is we're going to address a pain point. Now, if they don't have that pain point, that's okay. Disqualifying is totally fine. We're not trying to sell to everyone, but we want to make sure we point out a pain and we emphasize it. That way, people who have it and are our ICP are more interested, and people who don't, we don't really need to worry about them. Now, we can add bonus points here if we combine this with our segment. So let's talk about if a company is running Facebook ads, and again, we're selling SEO services. We could say, hi, first name, I got targeted by one of the ads you're running for company name and it led me to your website. That's a relevant intro. Pain point, curious, have you considered using SEO to diversify your traffic away from just ads? As opposed to just, do you want to use SEO to get more leads in business? we're hitting on a segment and tying that into our pain point. It makes our cold email more specific and more relevant as opposed to the generic SEO emails that go out all the time. Now, we may not know what pain point resonates most of our prospect, or we may think we know and maybe we're wrong. So we want to go ahead and test out pain points. So let's say for just companies running ads, what could pain points be? Well, it could be that they're getting ad account bans on and off or having to get new business managers. It could be that they're over-reliant on ads, and when ads stop, sales stop. It could be that they're constantly needing new creatives and it's a manual grind that never ends. It could be that over the last 5 years, ad costs have doubled, or there's lower margins on sales from ads and it can never really get profitability without organic sales. Or it could be that they're unable to do really specific keyword targeting that they know leads to larger orders. Again, these are all just ideas, but I need to test them out to think about what could actually resonate. And the data will eventually tell me, hey, this is the pain point that people are most resonating with. It's also important to make a full list of the pain points that we can press on and then test them out. We don't want to just think, okay, let me make up a couple, but I actually like to make a list and explain the logic behind them. At least for me in my copywriting process, that helps me a lot. And you also may find that one industry may have one pain point, another industry may not resonate with that at all. So I'm normally testing these on a segment or industry level. Part 3 here is going to be our solution. What is it that we're going to actually do to alleviate their pain or problem? How do we make it go away? Now, if you're an agency that's a generalist agency or your software has a bunch of functionality, let's say you offer, Facebook ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, SEO, website, I would recommend isolating each of those things individually to test. Generally speaking, really broad offers tend to not be specific enough to work with cold email. There's always exceptions. I'm sure it'll work to some extent, but I'd recommend getting specific on service. Now, if you do only offer one service, you could always split it in different parts. For example, SEO could become AI or GPT SEO versus on-page SEO, off-page SEO, blog content, backlinks, third-party press, right? So you could always break your service into multiple service categories as well. Now, let's say you only do one really specific thing. You could always play with how you say it. So SEO can become organic traffic or traffic about paying for ads. Yes, it's the same thing, but the way we're saying it to people makes a difference. That's why you hear some people that have a service that they create some, silly hook for, because really it does attract attention when it's done right. Now, we also want to tie this into the benefit. So, for example, we could diversify your traffic away from ads using our AI SEO strategy leading to lower CPAs. It has the pain point, the solution, and the end result all tied together, making a great sentence for your cold email. Now, the fourth and final part of our cold email, and this is very important, is going to be our call to action. We need to be extremely clear on what we want the prospect to do next. Now, the more direct you are to your prospect, which is considered a hard CTA, you'll have a higher average intent, but lower overall amount of replies. Now, this is neither good or bad. For some people it's good, for some it's bad. You need to test and see. So let's talk about some examples of hard call to actions. Maybe we say, here's a link to book a meeting. We're just directly giving them a calendar link. Or we say, when are you free on Monday? Or maybe you say, are you free Monday at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., or 4 p.m. EST? That is very direct. We are going directly from first touch point to, hey, get on my calendar and spend 30 minutes or an hour with me. Or if your software, this might be, set up your free trial here. Again, you have to click on a link, they have to read, fill out their info, etc. Now, again, people who will go forward with these CTAs will be very high intent. There will just be fewer of them. Now, the more soft or easy a CTA is to respond to, you're going to get more responses, but the average intent will be lower. This is, again, neither good or bad. It just depends on testing and seeing what works. So let's talk about some examples of CTAs. Maybe we have, do you think this will be helpful? Is this a problem you have? Is this the pain you have? Can I share more info? Mind if I send over some case studies? These are all really easy to respond to because a prospect doesn't have to commit to getting on a meeting or really doing anything. They just have to say yes. Now, again, you're going to get more responses with lower average intent. My experience is normally soft CTAs are better, but only if you have patience, are willing to foster a conversation, and have good appointment setting. If you don't have that, you will fail at soft CTAs, as often they will have 10 back and forth emails before even getting onto a meeting. Now, the final part here is our signature. Now, a lot of people just kind of buzz off the signature, but it actually does matter quite a bit. Now, there's the obvious things like your name, your company name, your title, and your city or country, or address if you want to be more compliant. That's up to you. I normally just put my city. Now, in addition, I like to mention certifications that are relevant. For example, maybe I'm going to put that I am a partner with Smartlead. I put that in my signature. Or if you're a ads agency, you're a Shopify partner, a Meta partner. This does build trust and people do like to see it. I don't link, I just do text-based. I'll say partners, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, lastly, I will link my YouTube channel, my case study page, or my Trustpilot. Now, this always brings up the same question. Won't that hurt deliverability? Well, yes, but I have found that my campaign results, even with slightly diminished deliverability, if I include a link that truly builds trust and authority or gives value, it overall makes sense. My cold email campaigns that link to my YouTube channel will do like 50-60% better than when I don't link to my YouTube channel. So for me, if 10-15% of those emails, whatever it may be, go to spam, the overall result for me at least has still resulted in more revenue, which is ultimately what I am optimizing for with my cold emails. So how do you actually test this? Well, I recommend you come up with 3 to 4 unique segments. And then within each of those segments, I want you to list out different pain points a prospect might have. Quite a few of them. I actually put them on a list and write why those pain points exist. From there, write down the solutions in terms of different services, in terms of specific subsets of a service, or how you frame it, and then make a list of call to actions. Now, I like to mix these all up into campaigns, and that gives me 2 things. 1, it gives me split testing, and 2, it gives me a lot of variety in my sending for deliverability reasons. This almost acts as like built-in spin tax because I have all this variety that's going out. Now, obviously, you still want to have spin tax, but in general, it gives me enough variety that it's very helpful. And what I'll do is I'll just start with a segment, rotate the pain points, rotate the call to actions, rotate the solutions, and figure out what does best. Once I get a few campaigns that are working well, I then make more specific variations of the winners, and I rule out the losers in traditional split testing fashion. And this is how I have used this template for years now to write very high converting cold emails. And there you go. That's how we've been doing cold email for a very long time. That template continues to work great. Now, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. And if you do want to work together to build out your B2B lead gen system, there's a link below at growb2b.io to work directly with me to build out your acquisition systems and sales systems. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.